today we're going to discuss 3 different main topics on how to put a foot ring or a type of foot ring on your bow. First, why do we put a foot ring on our bow?
So the bow can stand on its own?
So the bow can stand on its own. Right now, everybody should have a round bottom on your bow. And if it's a round bottom, is that going to sit comfortably on the table? It's not. It's not. It's going to wobble. Exactly. It's going to wobble around. So we're doing a foot ring for 2 reasons. 1, to stabilize the bow, and 2, to get that bottom off the ground. Okay? And we're going to discuss 3 different ways of doing this: coil, slab, and sculpted. In the coils, we can do singles, doubles, we can stack them, we can twist them, or we can combine the different techniques there. On the slab, we can use the roller, and I'm going to demo the roller today so you know how to use it. We can texture, and I'm going to spend a little time about texture, and we've got a bevel cut it when we do it. The other is sculpted. You can hand sculpt something, or you can use some of the molds that I'm going to show you today also on making a foot ring for your piece. Clay. First thing we're talking about is coil. I got my cheat sheet over there in case I forget something. That good? All right. I'm gonna make a coil. And I'm going to make this look really easy. Some of you are going to struggle with this when we have to do our coil project. Practice makes perfect, okay? I'm not going to try to take a chunk of clay like that and roll it into a coil. I'm going to pinch this into the coil shape that I need. Then I'm going to roll it out. So I'm here, and then I roll. This is so much easier to do standing up. I encourage you to stand up when you do this. I'm only applying pressure in the thick areas. I told the last class this. When we do our coil built project, you're going to be making lots of these, because you're going to have to take these and convert them into a vessel just using coils. When Coach Knable was here, he sat over here where Cam sits, and he rolled a coil the length of those 2 tables making his sculpture project. He did a large vase about that tall, real big. So when you see Coach Knable, you can tell him a little story about it, you heard about it. All right, so coil of clay. I got to get my tools out over here too.
What about size?
What about size?
Size matters.
I'm filming right now, okay? So any sidebar conversations would be appreciated if we don't go into those today. So, fun with tools. I like the mustache. We talked about the use of vinegar. Why do we use vinegar?
We use it as like a glue.
Use it as a glue. And why does it work so well? Anybody remember why it works so well as a glue?
Because it's an acid.
It's an acid, and clay is an alkaline, and the 2 don't play well together. So it starts dissolving the clay. So it works great for doing this. All right, I'm going to take this and make a coil. I'm going to make a loop out of my coil, and I can adjust this anywhere I want to the size that I want. When I cut this coil, I don't want to cut it perpendicular to the coil. I'm going to cut it at an angle. I'm sure you've all seen it crown molding or baseboards in your house. When they put those in, they don't cut them flat and put the next one in. they bevel it, and the next one slides in, so there's just a clean line that they can mud over and paint over camouflage. Same thing we're gonna do. I'm not gonna cut this flat here. I'm gonna cut it at an angle. I'm gonna remove what I don't need, and now I have this cut at an angle that will come together real clean. Whenever I attach two pieces, I have got to score. I can use a tooth rib that I showed you. This is another tool. I love this. We got put them in the cabinet. This is a great tool. It's like a little wire brush, paintbrush. I'm going to aggressively score those. Not nice little textures. I really have to move the clay around. And I could squirt this with the bottle, but it makes a mess. So what I like to do is use the water cup, put just a little bit of water in there, and get a paintbrush. All of these are found to the right side of the sink. And I'm going to paint on vinegar. I will push this together, blend it with my fingers. And I will have a nice, clean ring that I can't see where it starts and stops. That is a good foot ring to put on your bowl. Now, I'm putting a foot ring on my bowl. Size-wise, if this is my bowl, looking down on it, remember I watched the water steam up over there and I got distracted. The three rule, not the three wall rule, the rules of third. There we go, my mind went blank. You should remember if you had me an intro, what is the rule of thirds? Help me out.
Everything has to occur in an area where there's a grid, and it has to occur.
And what does the grid look like?
Tic-tac-toe board.
It's a tic-tac-toe board. So if that's my bowl, I'm using that rule of third mentally also, and I'm drawing my tic-tac-toe board. Guess where my foot ring's gonna go? Guess what size my foot ring's gonna be? It's all right there. That's gonna be the size of my foot ring. It's an appropriate size aesthetically for it. That's a nice looking mug. I think you're going to like it better when it's glazed too. You'll be fine with that. So if I have this as my bowl, I have this as my bowl. I don't want a foot ring that's way up here like this. Is that going to work at all?
No.
Does that accomplish anything? Did it elevate the bottom?
No.
Is it making it stable?
No.
Nothing. If for some reason I put that on my bowl, what could I do now?
You can make another coil and put it under that one.
I could put another coil underneath it. Is that going to accomplish our needs? I got you over here. Is that going to accomplish my needs? Yes. Functionally, it's going to work. What about aesthetically?
No.
Visually? Is that nice looking? Not so much, right? So, when we do this, we want a nice foot ring that's sitting about here. And if I want to do a double stack, I still can't do the double stack underneath it. All right? But think appropriate sizing. Not only on where it is here, but how big your coil is. That's what they were saying a minute ago. I don't want a coil this big around that weighs more than my bowl does. Okay? So think a smaller size. Roll out a smaller coil to set your piece on. I could do a single coil. I could do a double coil and double stack it. How am I going to attach this coil to that coil? I got to slip and score and use vinegar. Exactly. Anytime we put two pieces of clay together, we have to score the surface and apply vinegar as the glue to make sure they don't come apart from one another. What color clay body did you use on your bowl? Do I need to use the same color clay for my foot ring as I do for my bowl? You don't have to. You can, depending on what you're doing. Is it going to matter? Yes, it's going to matter for this reason: glazing. When I go to glaze my piece, an iron-bearing clay can change the color of a glaze. If I'm using fake celadon, clear, false green shino, honey, juicy turquoise, Shefflin yellow, nutmeg, seltzer rebate, all of those have a visual color difference on an iron-bearing clay from a non-iron-bearing clay. That's why we have them up here. You can see that's clear. White clay, iron-bearing clay. They're going to look completely different. So make sure that when you're doing this, you're taking that into consideration. How do I want my bow to look at the very end? Do I need to use the same color clay, or do I purposely want to use a contrasting clay for the foot to make it pop a little bit more? Your option. One's not right, one's not wrong. It's just a personal choice in that, okay? Now, I can also, and I'm just do this real quick and small, I could take a coil of clay. I could even take 2 different colors of coil of clay. Hold one in, twist them on top of each other. And now I can do a foot ring that's a twisted foot ring. So if I did it 2 different colors of clay, my foot ring is going to be red, white, red, white, red, white, iron-bearing, non-iron-bearing clay wiped around there. So I could have a cool foot ring like that. I could do my foot ring, put a piece like that on, put another coil on top of it, and have that cool decorative foot ring on my piece. If I'm going to do something like that, I'm probably going to go a little bit smaller diameter on my coils, because when you get all those stacked on there, they're a little weighty.
You might not just.
Okay, a little weighty doing that. So I might go to a little thinner coil. Okay, okay, all right. Let's look at my cheat sheet, make sure I cover everything on coils. Single ring, stacked or multiple rings, a faux braid that twisted on there, twisted with a coil top bottom. One more. As he disappears from camera view, I'm back. I'm just setting this on here so it doesn't roll around on me. Some of you have lips that you're not happy with right now. They're undulating, they're starting to split. You're not comfortable with one side's thick, one side's thin. What can I do to eliminate that problem? I could add a coil around my lip. If I do that, I definitely want to blend the inside so it's smooth. You can have that decorative design on the outside there and have that edge showing. Cool, not a problem. Slip and score, obviously. Blend it on the inside, and now my lip up here is going to be a nice, smooth, rounded lip. I'm not going to have the undulations or the splits, and I'm going to have a nice, clean lip on there. You can also do that if you're thinking, man, my bow's a lot smaller than I wanted. I wanted just a little bit more out of it. I could stack a couple of coils around the lip to get more volume in my bowl. Big guys like me, I like to eat a whole lot. Small bowls don't do much for me. Good for my condiments, but not for my belly. All right, so I could increase the height of my bowl by adding coils, or just do it to clean up the lip. I think that's it on those. Slab now. Could you carry that with us over here so they can see this too? I'm going to take a chunk of clay, and before I take it to the table up there, I'm going to just use my heel and flatten it out a little bit. You don't want to run a big chunk of clay through the slab roll, okay? So here we go. Follow up. When using the slab roller, I have to put my clay in between the 2 pieces of canvas here. There's a metal roller here, and there's a metal roller underneath. And if you don't put the clay in between these, the clay is going to get stuck on those metal rollers, and you're going to be cleaning my rollers the rest of the period. Okay? You make the mess, you clean it up. Love you, mean it. Take care of your own messes. Your mama don't work here. These knobs on top are to adjust the height of the rollers. How thick of a slab do you want? Miss Jaffe and I over the years have decided that the black mark here is the idea spot for a slab building. Now, I like mine just a little bit thinner, so I'm going to crank mine just a little bit thinner, and there's where I want mine at. This machine only stretches clay this direction. It's not going to make it any wider than your clay is. I can't put this in there and hope that my clay is not going to come out wide. It's only going to stretch it long. Okay? So you have to start with the width you need. I'm doing a small foot ring. I don't need a big, thick piece of clay on here. So I put the thin piece in, cover it up, and I will pull this until it gets snug on the wheel and I can't pull anymore. Then I will crank, getting my hand out of the way. I don't want my fingers near the roller. I'll give it a little push, get it started, and get my hand out of the way again. I'll run it back through. And now I have a slab of clay that's consistent thickness and only stretched it longer. All right? Back to the tables we go. Things have to be done in a particular order. Obviously, I have to roll the slab before I can start playing with the slab. But I don't want the canvas texture on my slab of clay. So I'm going to get out. What is this called?
Red rubber.
Have you learned this one yet? Okay, we went over this tool. Red rubber rib. It's red, it's rubber, it is a rib. Red rubber rib. Used to remove texture to smooth things out. So I'm taking my red rubber rib, get a little vinegar water on there, and I'm going to use that to smooth out my clay on both sides. So now I have a smooth slab. You can, if you want to, keep it a smooth slab. You do not have to texture your slab if you don't want to. But we're going to talk a little bit about texture. We can texture these. And if I'm going to texture it, I'm going to texture it before I cut it to size. Because if I cut it to size and then texture it, it's not going to be that same size anymore. It's going to alter my shape. So, things that we have that you can use. Nice piece of diamond plate. These are all different styles. That is like a basket weave. That's a real small fish scale. There's a brick wall, bamboo, more basket weave, cobblestone, cursive Japanese, larger fish scale, wood grain, more bamboo. Miss Jaffe just brought this in today. If you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, it looks like the Steelers logo. I am a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Or you could go to a real tree bark and put real bark on your piece if you want to. These are all options you can do. Let's do the bark on this one. What do you think?
Yeah. Yes.
So I'm going to take this slab. A tree grows this direction, right? So if this is my foot ring, I want my lines to be vertical, not horizontal. So I'm going to take this piece, and boy, I hope this is going to be big enough. And I'm going to aggressively slam this down on here. And now I've got a tree bark on there. And I'm going to slap this side here down just to make sure I got it long enough there. There we go. Now that I have it textured, now I'm going to cut it out. If you don't know how to do this, here's your lesson on how to do it. Here's my slab of clay. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to cut off the bottom. So that I now have a slab of clay with a flat bottom. I'll measure up 1.5 inches, make a dot, measure up 1.5 inches, make a dot, and then cut that off. Now they're parallel. Then I'll make it into a ring, cut it at that angle that we just did on the coil, and I'll have a ring now. That's what I would normally do. But this is a different game. Because if I cut a nice clean line and put it together, it's going to be obvious, isn't it? So we're going to get rid of the obvious when we do this one. First thing we do, we cut it flat. I like to cut with a needle probe. Absolutely. I'm going to come up 1.5 inches, make a mark. Come up 1.5 inches, make a mark. Line my ruler up, cut. And now I've got the bark on there. I'm going to make the size ring I want, make sure I got texture on those. I could at this point say, ooh, and cut it. If it was anything else other than bark, I would do that. I've got my size, so all I'm going to do is mark it. That's where I want them to be at. So what I'm going to do is tear this edge. And then I'm going to tear this edge. It gives a more natural feel to it. So now I'm going to overlap this just a little bit. So this will blend in more and not be so obvious if I put a clean line like that on. Does that make sense? Otherwise, I'm doing that bevel cut and taking care of it. But we just ran into another problem now. My bowl is round on the bottom. The slab is square. Is that going to set in there nicely? It's not. It's going to hit these two edges right here. My bowl's going to set on there. And that's not enough to connect those two pieces together. I'm going to introduce you to a new tool called the bevel tool. And we're going to cut a bevel on this bad boy. I'm going to cut my clay at an angle like that. So now it will set on the angle of my bowl. Bevel cutter. Most of them are in the cabinet over here. Oh, my toolbox is over here. I have them in my one of my toolbox. Mine looks a little different than your all's. Mine's an older one, and I made a truck out of mine on one side and flames on the other because I'm weird. I want to lay this down, texture down. This is my 45-degree wire here, 60-30. I'm going to lay my 45, and I'm going to drag that along the edge there, and it's going to give me a nice, clean cut in a bevel. So now when I put this together, it's beveled, and my bowl sets into it nice and flush. Ooh. Ooh. I was going for an all, but I'll take a new. As long as it's not a ooh. All right, so let's put this together real quick. I'm going to score that side. I'm going to score that side. Add me a little vinegar. Keeping the outside so it has that natural texture of a bark. And I'll take a wood modeling tool. Again, moist tools work better. And I'm going to support the outside wall and blend the inside. So now I have a nice clean foot ring to put my bowl on. So with slab I can do a short foot ring, got enough do enough to elevate that off the ground. I can do a tall foot ring, which I'm going to show you another technique here in a second. I could do the with texture, or I could do smooth. Your options on those. What about clay choice? We talked about that, right?
Yes.
changing color clay. All right, anybody doing a queso bowl? You're gonna do a queso bowl. Inside these, which we're gonna use for a project later on in the year, you're gonna find one here that's number P, or letter P. I'm gonna need a slab that big. So I'm gonna have to start off with a slab at least that wide and pretty big so I can stretch a piece out this size. When I connect this end to this end, boom. That is my shape there. Then I could put my bowl on top, put some holes in here for my candle, and now I've got a queso warmer. Ooh, oh, anybody else converted to queso holders now? Well, I'm a big queso fan, so I'm doing that. P for Payne, all right? Larger slab.
How's like a single candle gonna warm both queso?
Because heat rises,
Yeah.
and that one little flame is just going to generate the heat right at the top. We won't have hose at the top, we just have hose in the bottom for air.
Okay.
No hose at the top, so the heat doesn't have anywhere to go. So the heat just stays up in the top. Been to Tumbleweed before?
Oh yeah.
Is that an actual?
Tumbleweed, that's what they have at Tumbleweed. There's a metal at Tumbleweed. Yeah, they have a little candle underneath them at Tumbleweed. So this is just doing them ceramic. I don't like
Not
Tumbleweed.
good anymore.
The only thing good there is the queso.
Didn't they
Or anything free. Right. Remember, we're on film, so I don't want them to have to listen to our bantering back and forth. Slabs, we're good on that now, right? Smooth, textured, tall, short. We can do whatever we want to on a slab build. The next one is sculpted foot rings. I can sculpt whatever I want to out of a foot ring, depending on your skills. One I like to do a whole lot, I do this one every year. We have a G.I. Joe head that we cast in clay. And I am Chalagi, or Cherokee, and there are 7 clans in the Cherokee tribe. So I generally do a face on here, and I'll add 7 faces to it, 1 for each clan. If there's something in your ethnicity that numbers mean something to you, use them. 4 is big for the native people also, for the 4 principal directions, but then 7, 1 for each clan. So you can just pass that around. Look at the little head you got on there. Now, I've got the head. I need to cut out around the head now so it's, don't have that extra clay shooting off the side. But what I generally do is I'll take a foot ring, I'll make a little ring, and I'll stand the heads up around it, put another ring on top, and then I'll attach that to my bowl. So I'll have a lot of air underneath it. Another way, if you wanted to do a queso bowl and not do that big heavy slab, you could do a ring with some sculpted piece with another ring, plenty of air coming in to do that also. We have several other molds that you can press stuff into. This one's a dragonfly. We have a frog, turtle. I'm sure there's other there that I'm not thinking of. Anybody football guys in here? There's one that we've got where we cast a football, or the threads of a football, so you could do it and make it look like all the way around the foot ring are the threads of a football. And I'll even show you a trick. We take little pieces of white clay and put in the threads, and then put red clay on top of it. So you have that natural contrast of white clay, iron-bearing clay, so the threads will show up really well. So we can play games with this also. I'm good on time. 34.
45.
No, right here at 11:34.
Yeah, that's like 7.
Yeah. So we're getting short time over there, guys. Here's one I do every time because I think it's fun. I can take a coil, bend it into an L shape, put my glasses on so I can see. Blend it together there where I just bent it. And again, I'm doing this quick. If I was doing this on my project, I'd probably spend a little more time with it. But I'm just showing you technique. Make the arch of the foot there. Separate the toes. I got a little pin cap in here. It's the of an old metal ink pen. I can press that in. And now I've got the foot with individual toes. I could be really cute and come out here with underglazes and paint the toenails colors so it has red toenail polish on them. And when you're a dad and you have a daughter, she will paint your toenails. So be ready for that to happen. And you'll let her, because she's your baby girl, and you'll let her paint your toe, and she'll get it all over your foot, and you'll be happy that she's loving you. So a little foot like that. Same thing here that I gotta do here. I can't just stick that on. I'm gonna have to bevel cut this so when it sets on, it'll set on like that. Now, good question. What is the most stable amount of legs? 3 is always going to be stable. If I get a 4th leg in there, I can get a wobble. So you can do 4, you just have to be really careful that your bow doesn't have that wobble to it, because that's part of the curriculum, that there's no wobble in it. You could do 3 little stands. You could make these look like bolts. You know, I'm trying to do that, get a twist in it. And I could make it look like it's a screw bolted on or a bolt on there. I can sculpt anything that you can think of, sculpt it, and add that to your feet. Yeah. And so I've got that Bugs Bunny mold, and I know on one of my bowls that I'm doing, I'm going to press clay into the Bugs Bunny head, and I'm going to have Bugs Bunnies, like 3 Bugs Bunny heads supporting a bowl. I got to, you know. It's going to be fun, we hope. Remind me, I'll try to do it in this class so y'all can see it. All right? So lots of ways we can do that. That I covered sculpted. Yes. Now, if I used, how are we doing on time? All right. We're about 7 minutes to the bell now, guys. About 7 minutes to the bell. Man, that looks cool. Very cool. Go on. I could press clay into my mold here. And the good thing about using a wood mold, the clay generally pops out of it really clean and really easy. So now I've got a dragonfly. I could do a dragonfly as a foot ring. It's kind of hard to use this one as a foot ring. You can't do it on this project, but later on I could cut this out and I could applique it onto the side of my piece. And I could do, what was that, milkweed, cattails? I could do, that's an applique, yeah. I could do cattails on there and applique a dragonfly on it. So it looks like I'm out in the woods somewhere with a dragonfly flying around, all right? Last thing I gotta do here, we gotta attach a foot ring so you know how to attach a foot ring onto a piece. Do you want the ring or do you want the bark?
Ring.
Ring it is. So I'm gonna take my ring now. I'm going to use the banding wheel because it makes it so much easier. And I'm going to score the ring. I'm going to add vinegar to it. I'm going to center my bowl up. Touch it in place. Pick it back up. Remove it. And now I've got a wet spot on there that I know where to score this piece now. And again, using the banding wheel, I can just spin the wheel and hold the tool in place. generous with the vinegar. Tap it in place. Make sure I got a good connection between the two. Then underneath here, we have these rubber tip tools. I'm going to use this rubber tip tool to clean up that seam. I don't want to see score marks. I don't want to see areas where it's not blended. I'm only seeking perfection. Is that asking too much? Now, to test to make sure my foot ring is deep enough, I can set that on there, and if my bottom touches, my foot ring's not big enough. Guess what? My foot ring's not big enough. What I think I'll do is cut the legs off, and I'll put 3 feet on there. And have mine standing on feet. You can cut now.
That needs to